Momoco is a design and live-action studio, founded by Mickey Kato and Nick Benz. They got their start at Imaginary Forces in U&Co before setting up their own studio in London in '99. 2010 was a very busy year for Momoco. Their main title for the British TV show Misfits was nominated for a BAFTA. In addition, Momoco wrote, produced, and directed the ambitious short science fiction film Coppelia. We visited Momoco on an unusually hot late summer afternoon in their small studio in the heart of London's Soho.
We've remained small, so we can just have more control over the projects. So if we expand too large, we'd encompass just too many overheads.
Of course, we'd like to make money to make living, but first priority is to be creative.
We just like to take a project from the beginning, the stages, the storyboarding through to the animation, and just keep it within ourselves and really put our stamp on it.
How does it feel turning away? And how does it feel facing another day?
These are my boards for dangerous parking, and the type is essentially a character throughout the thing, and it's representing the director of the film, who's the central character as well, who is an alcoholic and his life's falling apart, and he's just communicating that through the fracturing and the distorting of the type, and it resolves at moments of calmness, and it's all done through glass. And we took shots of the film and also shot them through bottles. It's a concept for the end title, the end roller. So as the type goes through, it just gets steadily more drunk, and the film gets more distorted.
When you start designing, there are millions of ways to go. Nick and I work in very different. He's very productive, he's quick, he comes up with ideas, and he starts drawing with computers.
I'm just very enthusiastic about each project, but we've never won a job on quantity. It's just about that single idea. And I find usually it's better just to focus on a single concept and just really do an elaborate, pure direction for that. Here are some of our storyboards, and this is just the most exciting phase and stage of any project for us. It's just the purest stage where we just conceptualize, and after that, when we go into production, it's really just executing the selected idea. The way I go about it is I watch a section of the film, if I'm given that, or read the script, and spend a week just thinking about it, and then over a couple of nights, just really intensely paint up lots of boards. Some of these eerie elements are just things like food, and when they're shot really closely, they can become sort of bodies that are decaying, and just really disturbing stuff like that. And so this is just like a mushroom that's shot really close up, the way it's shriveled, and we experimented again with just things like yams and aubergines, just really close up, and that's some vegetable. Someone's nephew. Out scavenging sort of bits of wood, driftwood, old photo frames. We just tried all sorts of materials, from washing powder to all sorts of food stuffs, and the best blood was just like treacle, because it's really thick and black, and the grading, it sort of just had that weight to it. I love horror movies, and I think it's just something really textural and visceral that we can really get into. I think comedy is the hardest thing to do in design.
Oh, that is the storyboard, very first storyboard I did for the Misfit. I wanted to have more like edgy, like teenage culture style. So we went to the Thames Mead where they shot the actual body of the TV. Then took there are a lot of ex-council houses and very interesting buildings. So we took loads of pictures. I have been influenced by loads of designers and artists, but the main source is like daily life. When just walking on the street, just see something interesting on the street or in a display of a shop.
I love comic books, and I originally wanted to be a comic book artist, and then I was just much more fascinated with motion, and I really needed something that combined typography with moving image. And title sequences seem to naturally do that. So and it's a sort of storytelling medium as well. The first title sequence that really blew me away was Island Dr. Moreau. I mean, the cinema, that was just that was very impressive. And I think that was at a time where imaginary forces was really rejuvenating the whole media of title design. And there was one point when I saw Saul Bass's Seconds. And we'd recently done a title sequence where an eye is splitting organically like cells, and that took days to animate. And we thought that was very fresh, and I'd never seen that before. And then I saw Saul Bass's Seconds, which was, he did exactly the same thing like 30 years ago, with just mirrors. And it was just so effective and so simple and just absolutely wonderful.
Love is like a sin, my love, for the ones that feel it the most. Look at her with her eyes like a flame.
So here's some of the ideas for Luther, which is a TV series with Idris Elba, who's really famous for being in The Wire. And it's great drama, and it's got a lot of depth to it. And I think the initial direction I wanted to go was to create a painterly portrait of the main character. Luther is a detective who's constantly on the edge of madness and anger, and he could be just as dangerous as the criminals he's chasing. So this duality I wanted to convey in the ideas that we've pitched. So this is much more of the psychological aspects and the mirroring. Usually I come up with the type first, decide on the font and how that sort of carries the weight of the character. We, as much as possible, try and focus on themes of the show, as opposed to just showing the cast. I know a lot of the producers really like to show the cast up front, but we just try and tell a shorter story. So for Coppelia, it started out as a graphic novel idea back in 95, 96, and I made that first, and so it was just really exciting. And we used this to sell to the cast and get some pretty big names involved in the project. Everything was green screen, so they had nothing to react to other than so the storyboards that were really essential in order to visualize that for them. We shot everything on the red camera, so it's very cinematic. We use Zeiss ultra prime lenses, and then it was just all composited in After Effects. And actually, a lot of it was just composited on laptops. The technology is really lo-fi for such an ambitious project. One thing we did learn from this process was we'd spend days and days on a tiny detail, and then when we graded it, it would just be obliterated. It would just, because it's very dark, and just the contrast levels. So next time we'd do the grading first, get a plan for that, and then we'd know how much is actually visible.